Hi, I'm Jeremiah Paprocki, the public address announcer of the Chicago Cubs, and you're watching and listening to PAA Game Day.
Please welcome the host of PAA Game Day and a public address announcer for Syracuse University and Colgate University, as well as the New York State Public High School Athletic Association for numerous championships, Tom Winiecki.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of PAA Game Day, the show that takes you behind the curtain and into the stories of some of the best public address announcers in the business. I'm your host, Tom Winiecki, and today's guest, well, he has a story that feels almost unreal. Imagine this. You're 21 years old. You walk into one of the most iconic venues in American sports, and they hand you the mic. Well, that's exactly what happened to the public address announcer for the Chicago Cubs, Jeremiah Paprocki. Jeremiah, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. This is going to be fun.
Well, good. Well, we might as well jump right in and get started. Right back at the beginning. You didn't just become a Cubs fan. You were practically born into it, and your mom had a big part in that.
Absolutely.
Tell us that story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my mom grew up a big Cubs fan. She inherited that from my grandfather, her dad, and so that got passed along. And then she acquired a job as a parking attendant at Wrigley Field just some few years shy before having me. So she also worked at Wrigley. Little did she know, and then me being born, that I would end up working there 21 years later. So, but yeah, even though she stopped working there, her love for the Cubs never stopped, and that also got passed along to me. And so my first Cubs game, I was 2 months old. So there's a picture of her holding me, and I'm very small. And obviously, I remember nothing from that. But the older I got, and the more I was able to remember things as I grew up as a child. I spent a lot of summers going to Wrigley Field, watching Cubs games, and just being a big fan of baseball.
Now, you say you were 2 months old and you don't remember anything, and that's obvious. That makes sense. But I would bet you your last dollar that your mother knows every last detail of that day.
She might. I would have to ask her, but I'm sure she does for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I will bet you the last dollar in your wallet that she will be able to tell you every little detail of that day.
Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
now I read that you caught the announcing bug when you were about 14 years old. Now, from my point of view, most 14-year-olds want to be on the field, but you wanted to announce the players on the field. So
hmm
how does a 14-year-old kid break into public address announcing?
Well, let's not get that wrong. I also wanted to be on the field too. So I very much was an athletic kid growing up, and I played baseball, I played
Okay.
basketball, and I played soccer. So I
Oh,
was
wow.
very, very active and had my hands in multiple sports. And I said, hey, if any of these work out, you never know. It'd be
Okay.
super fun. But if not, I was also the realistic kid as well
Okay.
too, and was like, well, if this is just all for fun, at the end of the day, I still have to have something in my back pocket that I
hmm
can kind of rely on, you know. And
Yeah,
as you
yeah.
know, announcing is very competitive, so for that to be
Yes, it is.
a backup choice from also being a competitive athlete is quite the decision to make. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, because I was surrounded by sports constantly and was big sports fan in one of the big sports markets in the world, Chicago. I was exposed to a lot of great voices in the city. So, obviously, being a big fan of basketball and the Chicago Bulls, my first recollection of going to Bulls games and all that stuff, I came across one of the most iconic intros in all of sports. And you have that animated graphic of the Bulls running through the city, the intense music, and then all of a sudden that the serious Alan Parsons music starts playing.
Oh gosh, yes.
And then me growing up, I had Tommy Edwards as the public address
Mhm.
announcer.
Yep.
So when he would belt that and
No.
now,
Uh-huh. I remember that myself too.
that hooks you, right? And I
Yes,
think
it does.
every kid in the '90s can agree when they had Ray Clay during the championship run that hooked them in too.
Mhm.
So so such an iconic intro hooked me in, and that was my first taste of being interested in
Mhm.
announcing and the whole public address world of things. And I kind of caught on to that early, even before age 14, and
Okay.
I kind of found myself being that one annoying kid in school that was like, "And now," and then we had Derrick Rose too at the time, who was a growing superstar with the Bulls.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he would be from Chicago at guard 6'3", number one, Derrick Rose, and so that was pretty cool too. So I'd find myself unintentionally developing my voice that way,
Okay.
just kind of being inspired by the voices around me that I heard. So
Absolutely, yeah.
Tommy Edwards, huge
Mhm.
creditor to that. Obviously, like I said, big baseball fan. So Wrigley Field, we had Paul Friedman,
Yep.
Wayne Messmer, and then eventually Andrew Bellison, all voices that kind of shaped my voice to what it is today.
Mhm. Now, you talked about getting your first reps when you were in high school. You were at a charter school in Chicago, Northtown Academy, and you would work games there, and then after that, you did games at the University of Illinois Chicago, all while you were still in high school?
Yeah, yeah. So let me actually take you back to my first time I ever got on the microphone. So, as you said, I went to CICS Northtown Academy on the north side of Chicago. Um, I was always, like I said, I was growing interest for announcing, but I was playing sports too, and I didn't really know where to squeeze in the announcing to my schedule or how I could do that. But this shows you life works in mysterious ways. My sophomore year of high school, um, there was this thing where the senior class president got to read the homeroom announcements as part of their daily activity, right? And so we had somebody my freshman year that was a senior that did it. They graduated, and then my sophomore year, that senior president was doing it. Now he was kind of a jokester. He would always start the morning announcements with a joke, which worked for him up until October. So I remember it was October
Uh-huh.
uh, 2014, and so obviously from August to October, it wasn't a long stretch for him, but it worked out for me because he said something about the principal he shouldn't have said,
Oh, no.
where he thought it was just a funny joke. He didn't. The principal didn't take it really lightly, so
Mm.
he got relieved from his duties, and I heard about it, and I was like, well. This is an opportunity for me
Mhm.
to maybe give this a try. And so I went down to the office and I said, "Hey, I heard about so and so. You guys will probably need someone to, fill that duty, and I'm willing to give that a try." And so they were like, "Yeah, you know what?
Okay.
Why not? Come back tomorrow. We'll give you the script. We'll show you how to do it,
Okay.
and then we'll see how it goes." And so, uh, as much as excited I was also very nervous because this was like my first time, like
Understandable.
with a microphone, and like the whole school's gonna hear me, and it was a fairly smaller high school, roughly a little over 1,000 students total. Um, but it's a lot of people that are going to be hearing you in that moment.
True.
So,
Yeah.
so the next day rolls around, and sure enough, I go to the office. They give me the script. They said, "Here you go. Look over this quickly." And then they're in the office. To the side, there was a closet that was like the makeshift sound room, and there was the microphone, and they're like, once the bell rings, push the button. That's your cue to go and have fun with it. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And that's exactly what I did. The bell rang, and I kind of locked in, and I read through it and gave it my best effort. And funny enough, once it was over, I opened the door to go back into the main part of the office, and there standing was the principal, assistant principal, and the two office attendants, all eyes on me. And and they're like, "That was you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm the only one here." So they're like, "Wow, that was fantastic. You could keep this to graduation." So they just gave it to me right away, which was awesome. So I did exactly that. I did the announcements pretty much almost every day up until I graduated high school.
And the
But
rest, they say, is history, right?
and the rest is history. And to go off of that, like you said, I was able to get UIC from high school as well
Mhm.
too. That came about when I realized that no one was public address announcing any of our sports games for the school, and so basketball season rolled around, and I tried my best to do what I could. Obviously, I was
Yeah.
on varsity basketball, so that was a little trickier, but I did girls JV varsity and I did
Mhm.
boys varsity up until I needed to get ready for my game. So
Yeah, yeah.
I was doing that, and I told the AV and the gym, I'm like, hey, as long as you got a speaker and a mic, I could make this work, and that's what I did, and provided some good value to our basketball games, and
Yeah.
so that worked out my junior year of high school when we had our girls varsity home opener, and a referee that we knew fairly well from our
Yeah.
conference was this was the first time him hearing me actually announce,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Whoa, kid, that's crazy! Like, I didn't know you had a voice like that. Like, that's awesome. I feel like I'm at a Bulls game." Um, I work for the athletics department at UIC, the University of Illinois
Yeah,
Chicago, and
yeah.
we got a network that gets you over there. And so I was like, "Oh yeah, that's
Okay.
fantastic. That's awesome." And so that was a cool opportunity. We exchanged contact info, and maybe a couple months later, they brought me over to UIC to do a little introduction with them, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, let's see where we could fit you in." And my junior year of high school, I'm calling my first Division I baseball game for the UIC Flames. So that was kind of really the pivotal moment that switched me over to committing to public address full time.
Oh, wow. That's what people say all the time, and I'll tell people all the time, you never know who's listening,
Exactly.
and every game is an audition because you don't know who's out there. You're the perfect ex you're the living example of that.
Absolutely, yeah, they
Mhm.
tell me all the time, it's like, whether you're announcing or you're giving a speech or you're singing or anything in that
Mhm.
nature, like,
Yep,
it all applies the same, you never know who's watching.
that's right. Then next in your climb up that ladder comes a moment that a lot of us just dream about. You land the job with the Chicago Cubs, and you're only 21 years old.
Yes.
Walk us through that process. Did they contact you? Did you contact them? How did that all come together?
Yeah, well, I should probably note that between getting the job at UIC and then
Mhm.
the job at Cubs, there was a lot of hardship in between, right? So, I started announcing for UIC, in 2016,
Mhm.
and I got the Cubs job in 2021. So there was obviously a lot of time in between, which was
Mhm.
great. Like they say, you get your uh, 1,000 hours in, your credit, your
Yep.
your experience. So that was good for me to just kind of get used to being a public address announcer, especially at a bigger setting,
Yeah.
different venues, different stadiums, all that stuff. But I did apply for some jobs along the way that I didn't get, and that's also a testament to, I guess, this field because it is so competitive. There's not too many spots open for a lot of us. So I tried out for the Chicago Wolves, the AHL hockey team, the Chicago Sky, the WNBA team. Um, and it's great because I know those guys now, and I think they're great in those roles, which is fantastic. I think it all works out for everybody at the end. But, like those things could have easily stopped me, especially being having a kind of a big ego at the time where I was like, when you're 16, 17, 18, and you got this voice that's booming and carrying the voice of your school, it could get to you a little bit, and that humbled me a little bit, which was nice. But it was a fun thing, and at the end of the day, getting those no's hurt. But trying to stay strong and say, hey, someone eventually is going to say yes. I just got to, keep
Hmm.
going and write it out. And then it got really tough when COVID happened, right?
Yeah.
2020 hits, the world shuts down, no sports, right?
Hmm.
No live
Yeah.
sports at that. So, I was out of commission for a good 10 months and not getting paid, not being
Yeah.
able to do what I like to do, and starting to second guess my choices. And so, sticking true to my guns and knowing, hey, I got a great voice. I love what I do. I love
Yeah.
to be a public
Hmm.
address announcer. Like, it's all gonna work out. Just breathe, take a breath,
Hmm.
and I stuck with it. And then 2021 rolls around, and I vividly remember, I was working a UIC volleyball game in March of
Yeah.
2021. It was early March. The voice of Wrigley Field at the time, Andrew Bellison,
Yeah.
had been doing it for 10 seasons. He put a statement out on Twitter saying, hey, that's it. I'm done. This was a good run. Thank you,
Hmm.
Cubs fans. On to the next chapter. And I
Yeah.
was freaking out because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it, right? And Andrew is fairly young. At the time when he stepped down, he was only 35, which is
Hmm.
very young for the position as well too. So he stepped down, and I was freaking out. I'm like, oh, I got to keep an eye on this because this is the one. This is
That's
the
right.
the dream job for sure, right? And so kept my eye out, and funny enough, I'm still in school, right? I'm into my second to last semester at UIC.
Yeah.
So I'm on spring break, and all of a sudden, a friend of mine sends me the link to the Cubs job that opens up. He's like, "Hey, man, the Cubs job opened up. Here you go." And so, thanks to him, I was able to get my submission in very early.
Okay.
I was like roughly a few minutes away from going to the beach, so I had to change my plan around and everything. And I grabbed a random lineup off of Twitter, and I recorded it in my hotel room and sent it out. So that was cool. That was a fun little experience. But I
Uh-huh.
was relieved that I got it in on time and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks go by, and I finally get an email saying that they heard what I sent in, and looked at my resume and all that stuff, and they liked what they saw and heard. So they
Okay.
sent a couple scripts that they wanted me to record and send back.
Hmm.
And so I did that with the help of the people at UIC. I was able to use a pretty good mic to record all that stuff,
Okay.
send that in, and then another week goes by, and mind you, the baseball season started at this point.
Hmm.
So the former voice of Wrigley, Paul Friedman,
Yeah.
from 95 to 2010, said, "Oh, I'll come back. I'll do April games to help you guys out." So
Okay.
he's covering April at this moment while they're trying to find somebody.
Yeah.
So now I hop on a call with somebody that now I work with, and we hop on a Teams call virtually, and probably one of the best interviews I've ever had. It just flowed naturally and
Yeah.
smoothly, and I felt, really good about it afterwards. And so then another week and a half goes
Mhm.
by, and they send that crucial email that it's like, "Hey, we like what we heard. We want you to come down to the ballpark for a live audition."
Oh.
And this is when things get excited, right? It's so exciting because you're like, well, usually when you make it this far into a process, you have a really good chance
Oh, yeah.
of making it. And if they want to hear me on the speakers during a trial run, then I definitely have a really good shot of getting this. So,
Oh, yeah. Your heart
um,
had to be pounding through your chest at this point.
oh, absolutely. I was like, I didn't know what to think. I'm like, I got to go to a game as a fan just in case this is my last time to be a fan in the stands. And that's exactly what I did. Is
Uh-huh.
probably a few days before my live audition, the Cubs were wrapping up a homestand. So
Okay.
me and my mom went to a
Yep.
game, and in the hopes that that would be my last time as a fan
Mhm.
at Wrigley Field, um, without the a capacity of being the voice,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we did that, and then the live audition day comes, and it was great because they sent me the script for it in advance, so I got to prep, which was really nice, and it was the opening day script from that year. And they're like, "Let's treat this like opening day 2021," and they just kind of let me go, right? So it was a 30-minute session that felt like 2 seconds. I just read all the way through, and they just kind of threw some scenarios at me too, and just wanted to hear me say a lot of names, and it was fun. It was really great, and just to be up in the booth for the first time, and Wrigley's that classic park that has a ballpark organ, so the booth also has the organ, and I'm like, oh, this is so iconic. This is great. And after my session, I'm like, you know what? If it doesn't work out for some strange reason, I'll be satisfied with what I just experienced right now. And so that was kind of a cool moment of relief, whereas like I got to do that. That was pretty pivotal thing in my lifetime at only 21, and let's still see where it goes, right? And but like that was cool at the end of the day. And so um another you could tell they do this by increments, because another week goes by, and
Oh, jeez.
it's like just pulling it out, making you wait,
Mhm.
right? But it's all worth it. They're like, oh well, we want to kind of figure some more things out to narrow it down. Would you be open to jump on a call soon? And so I said yes. I gave them my availability, and we hop on a call. And I truly thought that they were going to ask some more questions,
Mhm.
um, but they hopped on and said, "You know what? We kind of figured it all out already. We just wanted to let you know." And they kind of hit you with that. Well, you know, you're young,
Uh-huh.
you're a great kid.
Trying to let you down easy.
The
Yeah,
let you down easy thing, and I was like, well, here we go. You know
yeah,
what? It's someone beat me to it. It's all
yeah.
good, right? But they're just going on and on about it, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, any team would be lucky to have you. So we here at the Chicago Cubs would be very lucky to have you, and are going to extend you the offer as the next voice of Wrigley Field. And it was such a quick flip that they got me, and I was stunned, and I was like, I didn't really know how to react, and so I was like, "Thank you, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 of course. I thank you, I'll take, yeah, yeah, of
Yeah, yeah.
course, yeah." So yeah, no, I just like I was in shock for a while, because I was expecting to not get it,
Mhm.
and then they switched up and I got it, and it was such a relief,
Yeah.
a lot of emotions in one. Didn't know to cry or not, or all that stuff. My mom was home at the time, so she heard it from the other room, so she was crying. So like obviously she was extremely happy for me, and like I said, full circle. Now I'm working at Wrigley Field. I just happen to be the voice of Wrigley Field
That's
at this
right.
point now. So, but yeah, when I got hired, I checked off a couple boxes. I got hired at age 21, so the youngest,
Yeah,
probably in all of pro sports at the time,
probably.
the first African American to hold the position for the Chicago Cubs. So May 17th, 2021 was my first game at Wrigley Field against the Washington Nationals to about 25% of capacity because we were still kind of on the way out of COVID, but still kind of there. So about roughly 11 to 12,000 fans were there that night. Cubs won. Couldn't ask for a perfect first game.
Perfect. Yeah. Now you mentioned that you were the first African American PA announcer in Cubs history. Now, did that put any extra pressure or responsibility on your shoulders, or did you just say, "I'm just a pro, capable of doing this at a very high level"?
I don't think there was pressure until I actually started and they kind of released who I was to the public. Because then, because then all of a sudden, every media outlet picked it up. All the locals, CBS, NBC, Fox, ABC, but like then it reached the national level where I was on CBS This Morning, Access Hollywood, a couple other big platforms. So then it reached kind of nationally too. So so then that's when the pressure started to settle in because I have to represent now the younger generation that is kind of I'm lucky to have this opportunity and now I have a platform. So now I'm kind of representing the younger generation of entertainers and announcers that kind of don't feel hopeful um, by a lot of biases, right? One, race at the time. There's a lot of conflict going on with people of color, and there's a lot of unfortunate representation there. Um, just young kids acting dumb as well too. A lot of looting, rioting in downtown, and not a good look. So when someone who's young and also a minority gets a big position, high leverage position, all that stuff, it's like, oh well, that's great. That's great news. And so now I got to kind of uplift that image, which I intended to do regardless because care about my image and obviously have no need to kind of have that bad persona or anything like that. So so yeah, I've had a flood in my inbox of that's your story is amazing.
Mhm.
I'm 18, I'm 20, I'm 25.
Yeah.
I've had 40-year-olds say, "Hey, I heard your story, and I'm inspired to change things up and switch things around in my life, and get that change into that go-getter mentality." So I've had people of all ages kind of reach out, which was really cool. So, but to be a representative,
Yeah.
um, not only for the young and the minority, but also
Mhm.
just the city as well. Like a good story coming out of Chicago was really cool. So
Mhm.
just being able to maintain that, there's a lot of pressure, but I feel like what 5 seasons in, I've been able to maintain that pretty well, and I continue to do so. So
Yeah, well, it could be a lot of pressure, but from listening to you talk, it sounds like this is a lot of good pressure to lead
yeah,
towards good things. So
absolutely.
it certainly isn't anything that you're shying away from, which is empowering for people to hear. Now we'll switch a little bit and get a little less serious. First of all, your mic is on display in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. How surreal is that?
Yeah, that one probably is the biggest one for me because it's like as a fan of baseball and like to be I mean, yeah, these achievements are great. 21, first African American. That happened towards the end of my first season. So roughly around August, September, my boss comes to me. He's like, "Hey, National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum reached out to us and heard your story. They loved it. They think it's great for the game of baseball, and they want to take your mic at the end of the season and put it on display in the National Baseball Hall of Fame." And I was like, "The Baseball Hall of Fame? What? That's crazy." And I don't think it was surreal until um, right before the next season. I went out to Cooperstown, New York
Yeah, no,
to
no,
go.
I was just gonna ask, have you gone out there and you've actually seen it?
I have,
Oh, man.
yes, I have. I went out because of that to go see it, and it was on this display case. Um, it was in the like today's game section of the museum, so all the current stuff in MLB, and there's my picture with a bio of how I got there and my microphone, and I was like, that's insane. That's such a you know, there's players that are currently playing the game of baseball that have had big games, big World Series games that are not in there right now, but somehow a piece of me is already in there. And like I'm just a little old public address announcer. So,
And
but
and
I am glad that people recognized
mhm,
my work and my achievements, and for them to say, "Hey, you know what? That deserves to be here," means the world to me, and I'm
mhm.
forever grateful
A
for it.
as you should be. Now, earlier you talked about your mom taking you to a game when you were 2 months old, and you don't remember a bit of it, and I said she remembers every second. But now the tables have turned. She gets to go to Cub games and hear her son on the loudspeaker at Wrigley Field. What does that mean to you? I know what it means to your mom, being a parent, but what does it mean to you?
It means a lot. I mean, without her, I don't think I get to where I am today. I mean, most of who I am is how she shaped and raised me to be, and so her being a huge Cubs fan, being a huge sports fan, has exposed me to Chicago sports and being able to hear these voices and take influence. And so now it's like we spent years going to games together, sharing our fandom, but now we get to do that in a different way now, where it's like now, like you said, her being the parent in the stands where her son achieved so much with the team that she grew up loving, that she still loves, we get to share those moments
Mhm.
together now. And for me, it means a lot as well too, because I get to have her there to experience that,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So her support for me when I started doing it in high school all the way till to this day
Yep.
is fantastic, and it's always great to have your parents there and kind of see you
Mhm. Exactly.
succeeding in life as
Yes.
they hoped and intend. So
Exactly, exactly, and as a parent myself, I know exactly what your mom is thinking. I just had to ask you the question, what you felt like.
for
Alright,
sure.
alright, folks, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we return, I'll ask, Jeremiah about being a member of a very exclusive club in Chicago. We'll be right back.
www.publicaddressannouncer.org.
publicaddressannouncer.org.
All right, here we are back with Jeremiah Paprocki of the Chicago Cubs. Now, Jeremiah, I was able to find that there have been only 5 public address announcers at Wrigley Field. 5. And you mentioned a few of them earlier. Let's see if I've got them. Pat Piper, Wayne Mesmer, Paul Friedman, Andrew Bellison, and now you. Now, maybe somebody out there, one of our viewers or listeners, can correct me if I miss somebody, but I think there's only been 5. Now, my question is, what does it mean to you to be only the 5th person ever to sit in that seat?
Yeah, I mean that's another crazy fact to wrap your head around because you're like, yeah, I somehow am the only the 5th, at least 5th full-time
Hmm.
PA announcer at Wrigley Field. And I think it also gets a little bit crazier too because Wrigley Field is the second oldest ballpark in Major League Baseball.
That's
So
right.
it's been around for well over 100 years.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of time. And for me to be only the 5th is still kind of like crazy because a lot of people know Pat Piper held that position for a long time. He similar to a lot of us, kind of strangely enough, have gotten the mic of Wrigley Field at a very young age. And so I think a few, if not when it opened or a few years after it opened, Pat Piper, who was apparently a vendor, asked uh, if he can, also like kind of switch over and announce, and they let him do it, and he had his bullhorn at the time, which was crazy to think. It was like, oh man, could you imagine using that to announce games? But I believe he held the position for 57, 58 seasons, which is a lot of time behind the mic of a ballpark. But it's an awesome gig, so I totally understand. And then from there, I believe there might have been a gap.
Yeah.
There might also be someone in that gap between him and Wayne Mesmer, but
It might
like I
have
said,
been.
we don't know. If
Yeah.
someone knows, please let us know.
Yes, please.
But then you would move on to Wade Mesmer, who who was iconic at that because he not only announced games, but he would sing the national anthem.
That's right. You said that. Yeah.
So he would do double duty, which is cool. I can't do that. I can't sing. I have a great voice, but it's good for announcing, not singing.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
I'll keep it at that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We'll just leave it right there.
yeah, exactly right. And then Paul Friedman, Andrew Billison, all of us got it at pretty young ages in our careers.
Hmm.
So that's really cool. But also, like, you see all these archive photos of Wrigley from
Hmm.
years past, and you're like, and then you sit in the booth looking out to the ballpark present day, and it's just hard to believe that somehow in this life everything aligned for me to be here, and yet there were
Hmm.
people in this ballpark 100 years ago, 60 years ago, 30 years ago,
Yeah.
and everyone has a story to tell, and somehow today I'm a part of the history that's going to be probably somewhat told,
Hmm.
probably in the next 50 to 100 years as well too. So
Yeah.
as long as I'm hoping that my story gets passed
Oh,
along,
I'm
that
sure it will. I
but
am absolutely sure.
but it's just crazy to think, like, yeah, like somehow I was born in Chicago to a mother who was a Cubs fan, that somehow
Hmm.
all the pieces align to me being the voice of Wrigley Field today, and being a part of that small exclusive group, which is an honor to be a part of at that, and
Yeah.
just being a part of the Cubs organization, such a historic franchise, historic ballpark. People from all over the world
Oh, it
come
has
to
to be.
Wrigley Field
Yeah.
during the summer and the baseball season
Hmm.
to experience Wrigley, and now people are coming in and they're hearing me, and I provide the experience to
Yes.
those fans. And so
Hmm.
my voice is now their association to Wrigley Field, and so um, it's unbelievable. But it's like I said, everything about this is truly an honor to me, and I'm very grateful.
Now, a lot of the other guests that we've talked to talk about networking and how important that is to move through this profession. And you mentioned people like listening to Tommy Edwards. You told me something about Tim Sinclair. Talk about that networking and some of those people and how that all worked for you.
Yeah, no, I'm a big believer in networking. I think that's the biggest thing in life in general, no matter
Hmm.
what you do. Networking can go a long way in all professions, all careers. So for
Hmm.
me, when it came to public address announcing, once I kind of got into it more in high school, I started looking up who does it elsewhere,
Yeah.
all that stuff. I was familiar with our guys here, so Andrew Billson,
Hmm.
Tommy Edwards, Gene Honda,
Yeah.
um, to name a few.
Hmm.
So, um, you know, this was the rise of social media.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
Andrew Bellison was on Twitter, so I
Hmm.
reached out to him, said, "Hey, would love to meet you, pick your brains for a little bit." He was nice enough to do that. Um, we a couple games I would stop by, talk,
Oh,
chat
really?
with
Okay.
him, um, and funny enough, little did I know that I'd be taking his place just a few
That's right.
years later, which is crazy. But Andrew Billison, great guy, was always nice to me, and was always nice to give feedback when I asked for it, and meet up at Wrigley a couple times.
Hmm.
Tommy Edwards was a true mentor, true role model for me. One day at a Bulls game, I just kind of went straight to the table and introduced myself, and he took me under his wing immediately. Such a nice guy. We chatted many times, and he kind of took me through his career and how he got to where he was, and how he is responsible for the iconic Sirius Alan Parsons theme when a certain great basketball player entered the Bulls organization, and so that was cool to know that the public address announcer was part responsible for the most iconic intro in sports history. So I went to UIC,
Yeah.
and funny enough, the Ray Clay, who announced for the Bulls in the
Yeah.
'90s for the
Hmm.
championship era, uh, is also from UIC.
Okay.
And when I started kind of being around that space of UIC, he had been doing games for the men's basketball program. So I
Okay.
got to meet Ray Clay, such an iconic voice in the public address world.
Hmm.
And so being able to surround yourself around talented, successful public address announcers was a huge help for me to kind
Hmm.
of understand how this job works professionally, and
Yeah.
how being connected can lead to opportunities in the future. And a person that shares the Chicago sports scene
Hmm.
with me today is Tim Sinclair,
Yeah.
who I was fortunate enough to I reached out to shadow him for a Fire
Hmm.
game when he only had the Fire at the time, and I think
Yeah.
the Fighting Illini down in Urbana, Champaign.
Yeah.
And it's such a nice guy. Let me come to Toyota Park where the Fire played at the
Hmm.
time, and got to know them, and then Tim blew up and became the voice of NBA All Star, and
Uh-huh.
then the Indiana Pacers, and then left the Pacers to go to the Bulls. got the Bears, so he has a lot
Yeah.
of the
Hmm.
public address jobs in Chicago. But he's a great talent, great voice, well deserved. And sometimes I have one job that does has nothing to do with public address, and
Hmm.
I'm a production stage manager with the Chicago Bulls, so I get to see Tim all the time, and sometimes we'll chat it up and just
Okay.
talk public address, which is
Mhm.
nice. So it's fun. It's great to keep a network, and I've had people reach out for you know
Mhm.
opportunities. Hey, we need a guy. We need you.
Yeah.
And now where I'm at, I've been fortunate enough to kind of pass my wisdom
That's
along
right. That's right.
to the next
Yeah.
generation, and also, like I said, if I'm in a pinch in my schedule, hey, I can't be here, but I got a guy,
Mhm.
contact him,
Exactly. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and hopefully that'll be the stepping stone for those guys, and hopefully one of those guys gets an awesome opportunity soon as well too.
Well, that's right. Now, another big milestone or achievement, or call it whatever you wish, is you were named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. How did that
Yeah,
all come together?
yeah. That was really cool. Someone from the sports department of Forbes had been keeping tabs of my story
Mhm.
when I got the Cubs job, and also reached out somewhat towards the end of my first season,
Yeah.
and was like, "Hey, we'd love to throw your hat in the ring and put you in front of our judges
Yeah.
and see if we could get you on the Forbes 30 Under 30." And I was like,
Alrighty.
"All right, yeah, of course, let's do it." And so I sent in a little thing, and they sent it in for review, and towards the end of the year, they said, "Hey, they loved it. You're going to be a part of the Forbes 30 Under 30 for sports for the year 2021, but
Yep. Yeah.
it was for 2022, I
Yeah.
think, that class, right? So that was really cool because Forbes is also a big thing, and being a part of that, just that class of very talented people in sports, it was also a great recognition, and not too many people can also say they're a part of the Forbes 30 Under 30. So being a part of being a part of that was really cool.
Yeah, not many people can make the 30 under 30 list, and not many people can sit in the PA chair at Wrigley Field. So you, sir, are so far are 2 for 2. We
Yeah,
can't wait to see what's next.
exactly, for sure. It's super cool.
All right, folks, it's time for another quick break, sort of our version of the seventh inning stretch. So, in a moment, Jeremiah will tell us about another project that he's involved in. So stay tuned. Announcing the Game is a free resource to public address announcers that take you through how to take your skills to the next level. A simple click on the sport gives you free access to a video that goes over terminology and rules specific to a lot of sports. So take a look. See if we can help you improve your skills. So here we are, back with Jeremiah Paprocki of the Chicago Cubs. So now, Jeremiah, on top of everything that you've done, you also host a late-night talk show in Chicago. Now, that's a completely different creative avenue. How did all that get started?
So I've grown up, and this is also another shout out to my mom. She was a big fan of late night television, so she would watch. Well, when I was growing up, David Letterman, Conan O'Brien, and obviously to this day SNL. And then I got hooked onto those guys, but then carried it on, and now I watch Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. These are all great late night talk show hosts. I kind of got inspired in 2019 spring break. I took a trip to LA, and landed tickets to go watch Jimmy Kimmel Live in person and be a studio audience member. And so, me being the creative mind at the time that was looking for multiple avenues of staying busy and adding things to my resume, watching the production of a late night talk show was so fascinating. The band, how they prepped, how they get through it. Um, Jimmy Kimmel coming out, talking, doing his monologue, being in show mode, and then like talking to the audience and all that stuff. And then, celebrities coming out, like being able to like talk to them and all that stuff. I was just mind blowing, fascinating. I was like, that's really cool. And so I was like, well, I love to talk. I could do this, but how do I do this? So at the time, the only feasible idea I had was to do it at UIC, and do a college late night talk show and
Mhm.
say, hey, I'm the host. I can work on my skill sets this way, and then
Yeah.
just find a bunch of talented students on campus to interview them
Yeah.
and do a show. Um, and that was kind of the start of it all. So I took it to our creative digital team at UIC
Mhm.
and said, "Hey, I got this idea. Let me know what you think." They said, "This is great. Let's do it." Um, while having a very heavy plate of work to do,
Mhm.
I had a lot of college work to do. On top of that, they had a lot of clientele that they had to work
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
while doing my show. So we were both kind of busy, and we tried our best to make it work. Um, we did 3 episodes of that
Yeah.
roughly, one per month, starting in January 2020. Our last one filmed a week before the start of lockdown.
Oh.
And then that was kind of the end of that project
Mhm.
because, yeah, COVID just kind of ruined everything with that. So
Mhm.
I got to kind of do it for a short time being, and I kind of let it rest to the side for a little bit. Then the Cubs job happened, and
Yeah.
I was starting to build a base of people and fans and all this stuff,
Okay.
and then I just happened to watch, I think it was the Tonight Show, and my idea kind of sparked again, and I was like, wait, there is no late night talk show production in Chicago, is there? And so I Googled, and like, sure enough,
Yeah.
there is no late night talk show in Chicago. And so that the gears got turning again, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, well, there is no late night talk show in Chicago. The host is typically a personality of some sorts, somewhat well known
Mhm.
to a degree. Um, I don't know how I can start this up, but I have an idea. I have to
Mhm.
figure this out. And so I did, and I was like, well, I know some venues in the city where I could possibly make this happen. My best friend is a musician who I'm also kind of networked with a bunch of people that are in a band. So I'm like, well, I have a house band. Um, and I know a guy that has like a video production. So I can reach out to him. And so I did just that. I reached out to a venue. I told my friend, who assembled the troops and got me a band. And then I reached out to my friend that did video, and we put all the pieces together, and Late Nights in Chicago was born. And so we were like, well, we've got an upstart late night talk show in the city of Chicago. We did some research. We looked for talent. We got some talent, and we did our first episode March 2024.
Mhm.
Um, but with any project of this scale requires money and all that stuff. And so,
Mhm. Yeah.
little by little, we were able to make things work. We did episode 2, we did episode 3. We've had some cool guests along the way. Now we're in the process of trying to figure out episode 4, or if we
Mhm.
can operate at where we're at, or if we should scale down and try to build a resume before trying to scale back up.
Yeah.
So we're kind of all over the place right now, but I do have a late night talk show, Late Nights in Chicago with
Yeah.
Jeremiah Paprocki. You could watch it on YouTube. Just type in Late Nights in Chicago, you'll be able to find it. Please subscribe; that would help out a lot. Check out our 3 episodes that are out now. Hopefully, we'll have more content soon.
Yeah, well, I saw bits and pieces of those 3. You had some social media creators. You talked to Benny the Bull, although he didn't really
Yeah,
talk back to you. And then you had a local historian on. So it sounds like you've
yeah,
got a whole mix of guests, and it's certainly it can be interesting to a whole wide group of people. So I'm
yeah.
sure this is a project that's going to continue to grow for you.
I sure hope so.
Mhm.
It's a we call it a variety late night
Mhm.
talk show.
Yeah,
So it's in the name variety, right?
yeah,
We can have anything. So, like you said,
mhm.
historian, musicians, social
That's right. Yeah.
media, content creators, Benny the Bull. That one was a surreal episode
Yeah,
because,
yes.
like, growing up, being a big fan of Benny the Bull, and being able to get him as a guest and
Mhm.
working with
Had to
him
really be something, yeah.
and collaborating, how we're gonna make that actually work, was really cool because, like you said, he can't talk, he's a mascot.
Mhm. That's right.
But I think that brought some very good, uh, comedy elements within the show.
It
So,
did, it did.
we're hoping to keep building up and keep getting in some
Mhm.
amazing guests, and, the topics will be variety, and with
Yeah.
just anything, right? So,
Mhm.
looking forward to see where I can continue to take that project.
Good, good for you. Now, these are questions that we ask all of our guests. So, to start, Wrigley Field, to say it's historic is an understatement. The Bears used to play there. Northwestern plays there once in a while. And of course, the Cubs. For you, was there a moment behind the mic where the fan inside you wanted to leap out of your seat and cheer, but the PA announcer in you still had to make the effort to stay calm and professional? Any of those for you?
We've had a few for sure. It is tough to separate the responsibility of being the announcer versus the fan, especially because of how diehard of a Cubs fan I am. So having a front row seat to every home game at Wrigley Field, is surreal. But then you're like, go Cubs. But then inside of you, you're like, breathe, wait, all that stuff. So it is very difficult. And for the most part, it's easy to do. Um, but I had my first taste of playoffs this past season, and there was a couple times where I just couldn't. I couldn't contain it, and it's fine. It was still in a respectable way.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, you're in the NLCS. Game 3, or no, game 4 was crazy. I
Mhm.
mean, it was a 8 o'clock start. It was packed,
Yeah,
standing room only. You're taking on your division rival, the Milwaukee Brewers.
that's right.
The fans were amazing and electric all game long, standing on their feet, taunting the visiting
Mhm.
pitcher. Ian Happ hit a 3-run run where everyone lost it. I mean, I kind of lost it a little bit. I cheered. I mean, it's hard to contain yourself when
Yeah,
you're in an
yeah.
environment like that. Obviously, I'm not jumping up and down and, acting like a maniac fan, but, like, we're everyone in that booth is Cubs fans.
Mhm.
My director
Yeah.
is a Cubs fan.
Yes.
The organist is a Cubs fan, so we're all very much into it. So we have fun. We make sure we're
Mhm.
having fun respectably, though,
Yes.
and we contain it where we can. Regular season's easier because regular season
Yeah, yeah. The games kinda
flows.
run together after a while.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the postseason, and
Mhm.
we have every right to enjoy as much of that as we can get,
That's
and
right, that's right.
yeah, so we've had some moments, and I've had some moments,
Yeah.
but
Now
we
on
make
the
it
on
work.
the flip side of that, was there ever a time when something came out of your mouth and you immediately think, "No, no, 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 I hope nobody heard that."
Yeah, yeah,
And how do you move forward?
yeah. I mean, you know, I like to say at the end of the day, we're all human, and we make
Mhm.
mistakes. There was a time a couple seasons ago, the batting order was tripped me up a little bit because Patrick Wisdom was 16, Jan Gomes was 15. Very similar numbers, very close together. I made the mistake of not looking at my scorecard, and I was looking at the field, and I had the numbers wrong. So I announced Jan Gomes when it was really Patrick Wisdom up to the plate. And so I was like, leading off for the Cubs, number 16, number whatever, number 15, yeah, whoever was batting it, and then I was like, oh man, that's not who's really at the plate, is it? And then I had to kind of, correct myself to the
Mhm.
public and say, hey, well, I said, correction, batting number 16,
Mhm.
Patrick
Yeah.
Wisdom. And so, yeah, 30 something thousand fans heard it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and you just have to
Uh,
move on.
like I said, we're human.
Mhm.
Mistakes happen.
Yeah,
You just have to move on. You can't let that bother you. You can't let it get to you.
yeah.
Doesn't feel great, but
But
it's not.
you're right. We're human, and it happens, and sometimes when you acknowledge the fact that I'm gonna make a mistake once in a while, the mistakes get fewer and fewer. You just relax.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Now you've
Um,
had go ahead.
yeah, no, you just keep a level head, and
Mhm.
you try to focus as best as you can, and you learn things along the way that like, okay, now pay more
Yeah.
attention there, all that
Mhm.
stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
and you'll just be just fine. So
yeah. Now you've mentioned a lot of people that have supported you over the years, been mentors, answered your questions, took them under your wing. Well, here's your chance to pay all that support forward. What one piece of advice would you give a PA announcer out there? Maybe somebody just getting started or somebody that's been doing this for years. What would that one bit of advice be?
do every opportunity you can,
Mm,
and also create opportunity for yourself. I think the
right.
biggest thing for me was I created opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, when I saw an opportunity to um, announce at my school, I did it, and so and so got relieved from his duties. I went down. I said, "Hey, I can do this. I could give it a try." I saw no one was announcing for our sports teams. I stepped up. I said, "All I need is a mic and a speaker, and I'm good to go." And here I am calling games.
Mhm.
Um, and that helps kind of set the momentum forward, right?
Yes,
That
it does.
that allows you to create a demo reel.
Yeah.
Um, set up your camera, a mic, whatever,
Mhm.
recorder. You get your voice on some sort of document that you
Yeah.
can share.
Yeah.
That is just as important. That is your resume, basically.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then the rest kind of can flow from there.
Yeah. And then
You
all
know,
that networking you talked about starts to fall into place and things just
exactly.
start to happen. Yeah, that's great advice.
Absolutely.
That's great
I
advice.
mean, I mean, nowadays we have social media, which
Hmm.
is a tremendous tool. Keep posting your videos on
Hmm.
Instagram, TikTok,
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you have. Just
Yeah.
keep posting it. Tell your friends to retweet it.
Hmm.
You know, just keep
And
putting yourself out there, get some exposure, and I think at the end of the day, somebody will hear it, and there's going to be somebody that's going to help you get
mhm.
to that next step in your
Yes, there,
career
yeah,
that you're looking
yeah.
for.
Because as we said before, you never know who's listening.
Yep.
All right, one more question here before we let you go. With everything you've done, from high school to Northtown Academy to UIC to the Cubs, what still gets you excited to walk into the ballpark and say, "Welcome to baseball at Wrigley Field"?
I mean, just that, right? Like, I mean, I think the fans are the biggest part, right?
Mhm,
You got 40,000 family and friends that all
mhm,
support the Cubs that are there that are just like you, and we're all there for the experience. So being able to wake up and say, "Hey, I am lucky to get another day at life to
mhm,
show up and be the voice of such a historic
mhm.
team, ballpark, and just have fun with it, right?" And I mean that applies to all the other jobs too. Like
Yes.
I get to announce for UIC. Sometimes I do Northwestern,
Yeah.
DePaul, other gigs. I'm the backup at the Chicago Fire FC.
Mhm, mhm.
So just my whole career is jobs that I enjoy and I have fun doing. And it does, like, you know what they say, like if you have fun doing what you do, it never
You
truly
never
feels
go
like
to work.
work,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I feel I kind of still feel like, you know, a teenage kid at times where I'm like, I'm just having fun.
And now, taking the field, your Chicago Cubs.
Like Chicago sports is like kind of like my playground, and I get to have fun with it, and it's I really that's all I could really ever ask for. So I'm living a dream. I am truly blessed to be doing what I'm doing, and every time I get to wake up and go to a game,
It's a
I
good day.
it's a great
A
day for
great
me.
day. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that keeps me going, and the fans obviously are fantastic, and being able
Mhm.
to be a part of that is magnificent.
Exactly. Jeremiah, this pastime has been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much,
sharing
Glenn.
your story with us and for taking the time to hang out with us here on PAA Game Day.
Absolutely, I'm truly honored. Thanks for having me. It's been an I'm blessed to be a public address announcer, and I hope that I can inspire the next generation of fans to pick up the mic as well, and you know, understand how we feel when we switch the mic on and start
That's right.
talking.
That's right. And for all those people out there that you refer to that listen to us, thank you for tuning in and listening and watching us once again. If you enjoyed today's episode, or even if there were parts that you didn't, take a moment and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us shape future podcasts. And our next one, I'll get to sit down with Trip Durham, the public address announcer for Duke basketball. And don't forget, check out the resources at publicaddressannouncer.org, a free resource created by PA announcers for PA announcers. So until next time, I'm Tom Winiecki, and I can't wait to hear you on the mic.